Hello and welcome to Lifestyle Change Straight Talk to You. This is Vern, but you can call me Vernetta. And I'm here on this channel because I used to be a bodybuilder, got into personal training, and now I feel like there's another side of it that needs to be talked about because there's been a disconnect for a lot of people and they just are not reaching their goals. So today we're going to talk about no, it's not a diet. It is actually a lifestyle change. I've been saying this for years. It's been 30 years since I've was into bodybuilding seriously. And I've lived a lot of it that I learned. To this day, I still do some of the same things. So I used to always say it's when you think and use the word diet, to me, it seems like it puts a lot of people in a temporary frame of mind. Like, I'm only going to do this for a certain amount of time. I only want to lose about 5 or 10 pounds or something like that. And then eventually you'll just end up going back to doing all the bad things that you were doing before that got you in trouble in the first place. So you've got to start with the root of the problem. And I just don't like the word diet. So we can call it a meal plan, but don't use the word diet because you're really trying to retrain your brain and retrain how you live your life so that you can be a healthier, more productive person. Let me just say this. You really have to sit down and think about how serious you are in taking on this endeavor, because it is a big change. It's a big change. Your body's not going to be happy about what you're trying to do as far as changing it, and it's going to be a fight because it's been accustomed to whatever you've done to it for years and years for some people. So it's going to be a fight. It's a mental fight. I always say 80% of it is mental. Your body's going to react a certain way, but you got to hang in and you got to stick with it. And here's another thing that just kind of gets under my skin, and I'll just talk about it briefly. I don't like the fact that people want to try to continue to say that it's okay to be overweight. Yes, you do have different body types, different body styles. People's metabolisms are different. Some folks have more hips and more butt than others, so on and so forth. You know what I'm talking about. But when you have belly fat, called visceral fat, it's unhealthy and it's connected to so many diseases. It's right there in the area where your pancreas is, your intestines is, your liver is, and now you've got all of this fat in your midsection that's interfering. It is interfering with the way your body should be processing things. And it's a major problem. It's a major problem, people. It is not okay to have this visceral fat on your belly. So now because of that, you've caused just those 3 organs alone to not function properly. They're malfunctioning. And for some people, you may have to end up taking a lot of medicine for it. So it's not, to me, it's just not okay to continue to promote unhealthiness that way. So, it's a big problem. So here we go. So the first light bulb that came on for me is that, and I think I may have mentioned it in my previous video, is that, I would train people in the gym and then they would just go back home to all of the temptation that was there before. So the first thing that you have to do is clean out your pantry, people. You can't call yourself trying to reach your goal of losing weight when you still have all your processed food in your refrigerator. You still got all kinds of bad snacks that are filled with sodium and sugar in your pantry, and just everything, sodas, all this stuff that I used to eat, and now my body's paying the price for some of it. But I have learned for 30 years that when you eat healthier, your body will take care of itself. Even though it's aging, it's going to take care of itself. So you have to start at home. Well, you really have to start with you. You really have to start with you. 80% of it is mental. So you have to sit down and analyze yourself, watch yourself during the course of the day, all of the things that you do and that you don't do, and ask yourself seriously, are you ready to take this step? Because if you're not, you're not going to get any fruit from it. So first of all, you got to be ready mentally, and then second of all, you got to clean up your house. Clean up. You just got to get rid of. Okay, we're going to use the 80-20 rule, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But because it's hard for some people to go cold turkey, so you got to kind of again take baby steps or inch your way into it, for lack of a better way of saying it, so that you can get to the goals where you want to be. So you got to start at home. You got to start with self. You got to start with what's in your refrigerator. You got to start with what's in your pantry. Processed foods, canned foods. You got to start reading your labels to appreciate what I'm talking about. You've got to see how much salt is in foods, how much sugar is in foods. And like I said before, even chewing gum has salt and sugar in it. And so, gosh, it's just vital, folks. It really is. And it is a work. You've got to be willing to put in the work. I can't stress it enough. You got to start somewhere. You have to do it. You can donate your food. You can give it to other family members who are really not trying to change their lifestyle. But you need it out of your refrigerator, and you need it out of your pantry, out of your house. The sooner you get started with that, the better off you'll be. That's the first step. The second, you have to be able to create a diary. I've heard so many times, oh, I don't have time for that kind of stuff. Well, then you're not ready. My channel is really about straight talk. You're either ready or you're not ready. So how are you going to be able to figure out detail by detail what you did 30 days ago? Heck, I can't even remember what I did sometimes the past 5 minutes ago as I start to age as a senior. You got to put it down in writing somewhere. Put it in your notes in your phone. You can put it in, you can handwrite it. Some of us like to continue to handwrite things, but you've got to document. You got to document what you eat. You've got to document how you train and whatever else you feel like you need to throw in there. I'll give you an example. Okay, like if you're eating, me personally, I've trained myself to eat 6 times a day. Yes, people, this is what I do. You have to know your body. You have to know what works for your body. And it's a continuous trial and error type of thing. You try something, and if that doesn't work, then you need to change it and try something different. So I'll eat 6 times a day. So when I get up in the morning, I would record what I ate. If it was 6 o'clock, then I woke up, I would record what I ate at 6. And then you just go on from there. Well, and here's another example. I'm jumping around, but I'm thinking about dinner. So if you're eating fish and potatoes and a salad, okay, well, you want to say what kind of salad you had. You want to say whether you had ranch dressing or whether you had used vinaigrette. You want to say, if you do fish, you want to say whether it was baked or whether it was fried. And your potatoes, you want to say that either my potato didn't have any toppings on it. I used Mrs. Dash, or my potato was a loaded potato, and everything that you can think that you could throw in there was in your potato. And just those types of things is very important, because you're not going to be able to find out where you're lacking if you don't do those types of things. So it's some work. You have to be ready and willing to put in the work. If you're not willing to put in the work, then you're just not ready. You're still coming with a half-ass attitude. I'll say it. You're just coming with a half-ass attitude, and you're not serious about changing your lifestyle. You got to start somewhere. So next, when I was doing bodybuilding, We had to diet. As small as I am, I still had to diet. We had to diet for 12 weeks. Now, this is not for everybody, but if you would like to see if you're strong enough, first of all, mentally to do it, then I would suggest you may want to try to check it out. Try to see how far you can get with it. But the goal is to shoot for 12 weeks. I don't recall all of the details, but I do remember some specific things that we had to do. So again, I mentioned it before in my previous video that the goal is to cut out your sugar, to cut out your salt, to cut out the toppings that you may put on your, on your potatoes. And you have to read your labels. So if you see salt, guess what? You got to find an alternative. Like I said, Mrs. Dash may find one that doesn't have a lot of sodium in it. It works. I'm telling you, it works. It's hard, yes, but it worked. And the thing that I really appreciated about it is that I felt like I had cleansed my system after 12 weeks of doing that sort of diet. Those are just a couple of things that will give you some probably immediate results. Cutting out those two things is just remarkable how that can be effective. And it is 80-20. Just 80-20 people. Because a lot of people, like I said, they're not strong enough mentally to go cold turkey. The body may not be happy with going totally cold turkey. So try to eat 80% of your healthy food, and then your other 20% is, things that you really shouldn't have. It's easy to do it that way. Just take it small steps at a time. Gosh, here's another tip that I wanted to bring to the forefront of you all's minds. Here's something that I learned 30 years ago when I was bodybuilding. They told us that you always have to keep your food with you because temptation is everywhere. Keep your food with you. You're going to have to cook your meals. Pick a couple of days to cook your meals. Saturday, Sunday, whatever your off days are. Cook it, freeze it, have it ready. Here's my lunch bag, people. My lunch bag. I take this with me everywhere I go. Even on the weekends. That's how serious I am about trying to stick to my schedule. And you get you some of these little ice cube thingies here. I forgot what you call them. I have 2-3 of them. Get you a good sized bag. And you got to keep your snacks with you. And this bag right here, especially when I go to work, I got this from Walmart. You can get them from Amazon. You can get them from all kinds of places. And some people I've seen have pretty big bags. You got to have this kind of bag with you. I put my breakfast, before I leave, I even eat breakfast. I'll talk more about that in another session. But my breakfast is in there. My snacks are in there from all day snacking. My lunch is in there. I'll have a couple of snacks before I leave the office. And then I'm eating, of course, after I get home. But again, I said we could talk more about that later. But these are the types of things that you have to have, and it's not a temporary thing. When I say lifestyle change, that's exactly what I mean. You got to be ready to say goodbye to the old you. I've lived it for 30 years. I'm like, goodness gracious, where has time gone? I can't believe it, and I still do some things that I learned when I was training. So, these are just a few tips that I wanted to let you guys know about today. All I got to say is, man, just get going. Just get going. You just got to do it. I don't care if you just take one thing and decide to work on that until you get to the point. But you got 30 days to try to make something happen that you can see some results. Okay. Yeah. Record what you eat. Record how you're training. Record your weight. You got to weigh yourself. You got to measure yourself, all your body parts. Because you want to see where you're losing weight at. If you're serious about training, you gotta measure your calves, your thighs, your waist, your arms, all of that stuff. And so it's important that you document all these things because you want to see where you are 30 days later and say, this is what is working and this is what I need to change. It's real quick. I know you guys are busy. Hope to see you next session. Take care. Hang in. No excuses. No whining. We don't want to hear it. There's no room for it. No place for it. Get your head right. Get ready to rock and roll. And I hope to see you guys next session. Have a good one.